Hello, Deck.
Hello there, George. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Do you know why? It's
No,
because
tell me,
our sponsors, Coin Poker, are continuing to sponsor us all the way through this 2025. So that puts a smile on my face, Deck. Shout out to our sponsors, our dear friends, Coin Poker. We're playing poker this weekend as well, Deck.
Oh, yeah. So you're 2-0, right? I saw this advert. So you haven't lost yet?
No, I'm 2-0. And guess what? I won the first one, legitimate.
What?
It's me beat Carl Froch. It wasn't like Howard Foster came in and sort of showed me his hand or knocked all his chips on the floor or something. Nothing like that. I beat him legit, and I beat him again, and I beat all of them. So shout out to Coin Poker if you want to get involved. I think it's called Frotron Fighting Free Roll. Soon it's going to be called though the GGBC Free Roll, isn't it, Deck?
Well, I mean it is now because this is 2 pods in a week, mate. I told you. Once the boxing year got rolling, we just wouldn't be able to stop because it's thick and fast.
It's thick and fast, yeah.
It really is.
It's Friday today, and we're going to look ahead to the weekend, but we will sort of clamber back at the weekend just gone because I've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Had a great weekend last weekend, Dave, but we were not going too far. Oh, did you? Yeah? I can't wait to hear it. There you go. Yeah. But tomorrow night, Derek Chisora climbs through the ropes for the 49th time. He tells us he's going to do it 50 times. He's currently on 48. That means the next one's going to be 49. And he's fighting Otto Valin.
Good maths.
And he's at the Co-op Arena, Deck. You love the Co-op, don't you?
The Co-op, the brand new Co-op. There's actually a Co-op at the end of the road, so I'm in the Co-op, mate. One of my New Year's resolutions, which lasted probably 2 days, was don't go in the Co-op because, like, I go in there. Listeners will relate. You probably don't because you got in your ivory tower and that. But down here with like the on the street, you go in Co-op for dinner. You end up spending 20 quid and get like a chicken breast and a bit of broccoli.
What do you do when you go in Co-op? Do you
might as well just got Deliveroo.
Like, table service? Is it like Co-op dinner? Is it free?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure I'm not. I can't be the only one that this happens to. But when you do a big shop in a supermarket. Then everything is far better value for money. As soon as you start dipping in the Co-op and going, I'll get my dinner from there, you're doing 20 quid a meal. Anyway, that no disrespect to Co-op. And obviously, they're siphoning all that money off and putting it towards this massive new arena in Manchester, which is fucking huge. It's the biggest one outside of the O2, maybe bigger than the O2. I can't remember exactly. But
Take you ages to do your big shop in there, Dick.
Yeah, I ain't done my big shop in there yet. It's probably really expensive in there.
So who's going to be feasting this weekend then? Is it going to be Derek Chisora or Otto Valin?
I think the fight fans. The fight fans. I think it's the fight fans will be in for a treat. Like they have for most of Derek Chisora's career, to be honest, because we thought it was only right. Like obviously Friday episodes, preview episodes, they're not a mainstay in the GGBC. Nah. We're only doing for really special occasions. And we were like, he tells us Derek Chisora's final fight in the UK. We'll probably never get another heavyweight like Derek Chisora. We'll never get another character like Derek Chisora. And this could be the final time we see him in the UK. I mean, who's to say he doesn't get to 50 and gets tempted out of retirement in 2 years' time? But he is 41 years old now. And like you say, he's the veteran of 48 fights, 35 wins, 13 defeats, and 23 KOs. Which straight away, you look at it and you go, wow, for a top-level heavyweight who's headlining at the age of 41, that's quite a lot of defeats. But that's the beauty of Derek Chisora's career, isn't it? It hasn't just been to protect the O, like, I'll go this way because I don't want to lose. He's like, I'll fight anyone and everyone. And like you say, just looking through, just researching this pod, it just lays bare just how good his resume is and how many of the top names he's boxed.
Yeah, this is a Derek Chisora special, Dick. I'm going for it.
It's our first ever one.
I'm going through the archives with Derek Chisora because without the proof, the pen and paper or the records in front of you, it's very hard to remember in chronological order Derek Chisora's career because I feel like he's been around forever and he's still around at the top. His last win was against Joe Joyce. Like, he just beat Joe Joyce. He's 40 years of age now. And in
one of the maddest fights as well. It wasn't just like a boring humdrum. That fight was unbelievable. And he was the winner. And
I mean, I turned professional, Deck, in 2008 and I think Chisora was a little bit before me in 2006, something like that.
No, 2007 it
right?
was, George. And interesting fact, and we'll get onto this later, it was in the February of 2007. So this month is exactly 18 years since that debut at Wembley Arena. So the year before he turned pro.
Okay, thank you, Derek. That's what you're here.
And he won the ABAs in 2006. When did you win?
2008, so 2 years later. So you would have won it.
Yeah.
He probably won it at the XL or somewhere like that. Super heavyweight, Finchley boy, good fighter. Probably. I used to see him up squad, England squad. It was England squad back then. Crystal Palace, funny character back then. Even then,
he still is.
Even then, but he wins the British title, Deck. We're going to go through it. I'm going to go through the archives because people are going to go, don't remember that. He beats Danny Williams for the British title, right? And that's 2010, May 2010, West Ham. It's a TKO in the second round. Now, Danny Williams, he's had a few losses up until this point. He's 41-8, but he's not. I think he's still got a few more fights in him. Has he beat Tyson at this point? He must have beat Tyson at this point, hasn't he, Dave? But you know, they're all in the mix, aren't they? Sort of 2010. You've got David Haye. Is he challenged for a world title for the heavyweight championship yet? 2010, or is he? Is he on the cusp of it?
Yeah.
He is. He's champion, is he? Wins at the end of 2009. So, yeah, he's there.
Yeah.
But the rest of the heavyweight division is like your Danny Williams, your Derek Chisoras, I think Sprott probably gone by now. But Fury and Joshua are not quite there yet. Obviously, Joshua's still an amateur. Fury is turned over.
Joshua's still an amateur. Yeah. And in 2010 as well, don't forget, Chisora was supposed to box Vladimir Klitschko. And it was a few days before. I think it was during fight week. I remember the agency I used to work at, Haters, we were sending someone, supposed to be sending someone, like we were all preparing to go. And then Klitschko pulls out with an abdominal injury, apparently. But Frank Warren always maintains that he always predicted that was going to happen because they were already thinking, right, Chisora's a bit of a wild card here. They say that Emmanuel Stewart had said, we probably don't want none of that. And he pulled out of it. And at the time, it was like, well, that opens the door for the Klitschko-David Haye fight because now Chisora's not going to box him. So that was 2010. Already he was talking about boxing Klitschko. He'd had like 12, 13 fights or something, whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. I mean, he's unbeaten up until he faces Fury. So at the end of halfway through 2011, he faces Fury for the first time. Is that on a Hennessy card or would that be on a Frank Warren card?
Yeah, it was a Mick Hennessy card, I think.
Yeah, Hennessy, he was with Tyson, weren't he, at the time? So he's travelled and he's moved about, hasn't he, throughout his career as well. Derek Chisora. He gets beat that night. He gets beat pretty comfortably. But it's not the best of Tyson yet, anyway, not to come British Commonwealth titles. Off the back of that, he has a quick win a couple of months later, but by the end of the year, he's sent out to Finland to fight the 16-0 Robert Helenius. So, can you remember back then, Deck? Was Helenius a force? Like, were people excited about him? Were we nervous about him?
Yeah, people were excited about him. Obviously, at that point as well, you got to remember, it was literally everyone was just trying to find someone who could beat one of the either Klitschko. Latterly, it just became Vladimir, but Vitaly was still very much on the scene at that point. And it was like, who can do it? Who's the man? Every country sort of seemed to have a heavyweight springing up, and they were the guy. Helenius was Finland's, not exactly a boxing hotbed, but going out to Finland to box Robert Helenius was no mean feat. And I actually spoke to Kalle Sauerland last week at his office because they signed Mick Conlon. Shout out Mick Conlon, the ECM, and Kalle Sauerland as well. And he admits that was a robbery that night. If you'd never seen that fight, he loses on a split. 115, 113, all the cards. Two of them go Helenius' way. Obviously, one goes Chisora's way. But it was just a real bad robbery. Like one of those, just a hometown decision. Like boxing is littered with them. And Chisora was on the end of it. So all of a sudden, he's got 2 defeats on his record. And so what does that leave him at? Like, let's have a look. What was it? So that leave him at 15 and 2.
But he gets the call from Klitschko. Like, the Klitschko and his Vitaly this time. And 10 weeks, it's only 10 weeks later that he's back in the ring. And he's 10 weeks. I remember at the time going, oh, like, is he getting picked now as an opponent already? Like, with a decent record, is he there to get bashed up?
Let's get him now. Yeah.
And he come back and there was a few grumbles about the decision, but as you say, Deck, it's boxing. You sometimes you get stiffed when you go abroad. No one really seemed to be too bothered about the injustice for Derek Chisora. And Klitschko's I'll have a bit of that.
That was for the European title as well. Yeah, it was. The vacant European title was on the line there. So it would have been a big win. So yeah, Klitschko. And let's not forget, so that was 10 weeks. I didn't even realise that.
So it's the beginning of the following year. It's like February.
Yeah, and he's pissed off. He's pissed off because of what Vladimir did.
What did Vladimir do?
He turns up pissed
pulled out of the fight.
Vladimir pulled out, so he's pissed off when he goes there. He doesn't like the brothers. He thinks they're annoying. He thinks they're always trying to stitch everyone up. So he slaps Vitaly at the weigh-in.
Yep.
Remember that? Proper slaps him. And they're like, what the hell? And then in the ring before the fight, he spits water at Vladimir, like full mouthful of water, all over him. Vladimir doesn't know what to do. So it's just like he's had a pop at both brothers, and then he loses a UD in the end. And it was a classic Klitschko performance, i.e. unspectacular, but pretty, like, one side is probably harsh, but, you know, a comfortable,
he was quite
reasonably
flat,
comfortable
like, not
win.
taking away from Chisora, but he was quite flat for Vitaly. I think he probably had a few injuries at this point. He didn't like, and if he couldn't bully you, like Chisora wasn't really there to get bullied. He was winning, but he wasn't stamping his authority on Chisora. So Chisora came out of there with a bit of value. He definitely came out with the ump, Deck.
I mean, he left Germany with a lot of value, George. Why was that? Because that night,
hell broke loose. I've told the story like I was there, and then I had to check myself and be like, actually, I wasn't there. I wasn't there for that one.
I wasn't there either.
Yeah, David Hayes there. Obviously, he's lost to. Has he lost to Vlad? No, he's still trying. Is he lost to Vlad at this point? Or is he just trying? Yeah, he's lost. No, of course, he's lost to Vlad, and he's trying to get another shot. But this time he wants Vitaly.
Trying to goad Vitaly.
So he's gone there with the intention of, picking some beef with Vitaly Klitschko. But I think Chisora.
Yeah, because Derek says, "How's your toe?" So it was definitely after the Vladimir fight.
Yeah.
Chisora's got a dressing gown on as well, isn't he? At this point,
he might do. Was he rocking? Did he have like the Union Jack sort of bandana, sort of bandit look at that point, or does that come later?
I'm not sure in the presser. I mean, he was, but I'm not sure it was in the presser. But yeah, Hayes piping up in the background, having a go at Vitaly. Derek Chisora's obviously like, piss off, mate. Like, I'm here. Like, because also it's not usual. They do it in Germany a lot, where they have the winner and the loser at the final press conference, which, as a journalist, I hate, by the way, because it is a nightmare to try and get anything good out of anyone, because there's just too much like respect on show, if you know what I mean. You kind of want the other one not to be there so they can actually tell you how they feel instead of being like, oh, I love you or whatever. But David Hayes spiced things up.
You just need David Hayes at the back. So David Hayes giving it the Billy Biggin, and then Chisora stands up and starts to walk towards Hay. And at that point, I always wondered, what are both guys thinking? Is Chisora thinking, I'm committed now?
Yeah.
Are we going to have a handshake? Like,
I think he's lost his head, Chisora, at that point. Do you think... He's not even thinking. I think it's Red Mist job. Because
I think he's shocked with what actually happens. Because before they even get like nose to nose, Hay sipping a Snapple apple juice or some sort. He's got like a glass. He's got a bottle. He's throwing a punch. Didn't really catch Chisora, but I think a few go in. Chisora.
Yeah, I think he throws it like a two-piece. I think it's like a left hook, right hand.
Chisora's worried he's been glassed.
He glassed me. He glassed me. Oh, it was brilliant. And so David Hay, I remember speaking after he said, Chisora's walking towards him. He's like, "What am I supposed to do here? I'm just gonna. I got to throw something. That's what he's trained to do. He's not just gonna go nose to nose." So he was saying he was moving in self-defense. But Hayes got the bottle in his left hand. I think he throws like a left hook first and then a right hand. Chisora goes over, I think, or certainly like drops down. Then Derek Chisora's trainer Don Charles jumps in. Adam Booth jumps in. The tripod. David Hay gets a tripod because obviously at the back of the press conference, swings it, hits Adam Booth with it, gives him a cut. Bought him a Mercedes to say sorry to him about that. Apparently,
lots of power, not much accuracy.
So they scarper. Derek Chisora's going, he glassed me. He's like, I am going to physically shoot David Hay. Like, it is the best fallout ever.
What other ways do you shoot David Hay?
I know, that was such a good line. I'm going to physically shoot David Hay. Obviously, he doesn't shoot him, George, but what it does happen, so this is in February. And I remember the week after getting a call at the office, and this was when I was still in the office, fucking so long ago.
What?
And it was a very good
is an
contact
office?
from.
Like they.
I know, and it used to be like phones. Like phones were going in the office, at Haters where I work, and it was someone, I won't name him, but a very good source, and they've continued to be a good source to this day. And they were like, "We're looking at Chisora," and I was like, "Piss off," because now it makes perfect sense. It's like, well, obviously they boxed each other after that. But I don't know if you remember, George, but that was such a left field shout at the time. It was so far removed from any of the plan because Hay was going for Vitaly and Chisora just lost. In fact, he just lost 2 in a row. He'd already lost to Fury, so now he's 15-3, I think, or 16-3. And it was like, we're going to pay, and we're going to pay Hay like £2 million or whatever, and he can't turn it down. And again, at the time, it was like, wow, he really can't turn it down. And before we know it, that fight's made, isn't it? One of the biggest grudge matches in British boxing history. They got the fence between them, and you were part of the Haymaker camp still at that point, right?
Yeah, I was still in the gym, and still on the scene. Yeah, definitely. And he, there was like, the British Boxing Board of Control wouldn't license them, so they had to go. They were down Luxembourg. They love their boxing out there.
What a shout! Also, it's like no one will ever forget that it was Luxembourg who licensed that fight. It's like, what the fuck? What? I wonder what they're doing now. The Luxembourg Boxing Board.
Yeah, if you go into the Luxembourg Border Control offices, there's a picture of Hay, and there's a picture of Chisora, and the poster in between them. Maybe one signed glove. I don't think. Have they done anything else since? I don't know.
I mean, no, they're always, whenever these things pop up, like one person's not licensed, we need this or whatever. It's like, we'll just do Luxembourg then, shall we? But it was
Malta
very
took
weird.
them over, didn't they?
Yeah, and it was very rogue at the time, as you can imagine. And that was, so then that means in the July of 2012, Derek Chisora boxes David Hay at Upton Park. So this is the summer of love. This is 2012. This is the London Olympics as well. And that is right in the middle of it. Upton Park. It was one of the best nights I've ever had covering boxing. It obviously started pissing down towards the end. I remember being soaked in drinks, like people I'm ringside with my laptop and it's just piss and beer and that. And David Hay, I mean, it's one of the great underrated heavyweight fights. Yeah. It's just a tear up for 5 rounds, isn't it? And you suggested, what was your shout on this? David Hay TKO 5?
Could David Hay's TKO 5 of Derek Chisora be David Hay's best heavyweight win?
It's a shout, isn't it? Because obviously Valuev is the one that you think of, but it's like
he beat Valuev.
You look at what Chisora's done.
Yeah, and that was it was David and Goliath. But he has to nick it. That was the style of fighting. He gets, I think, really close decision. I haven't checked out if that was a split or a majority or if he won it by a few rounds, but there wasn't much in it. And when you think about other than that, he had not an awful lot of heavyweight fights, but he didn't beat Klitschko, and then you're in with Audley Harrison and John Ruiz. Yeah,
he didn't have the big win. When you look at it, there was not like a big defining fight other than winning the title against Valuev. There wasn't that big heavyweight fight other than the Chisora win, which when you look at it in terms of spectacle and event and occasion, is about as big as it gets in terms of grudge match. The hate was unbelievable.
We go through Chisora's record. Do you know what I mean? People don't ice him in 5 rounds. Do you know what I mean?
No, they don't. No. And he did land a couple as well. It was kind of competitive until it ended, and it was a really good finish from Hay as well, wasn't it? It really was, and a big heavyweight finish. So I think you might be right there. But what that meant is that 2012 was such a big year for Chisora, even though both fights he lost. He lost to Vitaly Klitschko, he lost to David Hay. And actually, it meant he was on a 3-fight losing streak because he had Helenius, Klitschko and Hay. And actually, if you look back then to the first Fury fight, he lost 4 of a 5-fight streak in those times. So he lost 4 out of 5. So again, it just goes to show the longevity of Derek Chisora and his ability to be unfazed by that. Because imagine how many boxers would lose 4 out of 5 fights, knocked out in one of them, and still go, I'm nowhere near finished yet.
Well, it's well over a decade.
Impressive.
He has a couple of wins. He can't have a couple of wins.
That's 2012,
Some that Malik Scott and I think Kevin Johnson, a few others.
He won the European title, and that was when it was obviously a big rebuild, and it was Frank Warren. I remember that was at the Copper Box a lot. Kevin Johnson, wins like that. And then again, obviously, he comes unstuck, George, against his bogeyman.
Fury, yeah. So Fury stops him in the 10th round this time, doesn't he?
So that was the one at the XL. Mad night. Eubank Jr. boxed Billy Joe Saunders. It was mad. It was at the XL. It was real foggy. I remember it was just like packed with like unbelievably packed in there. And the compare, I'm sure this is right, and apologies if it's not, but the compare came out in the ring before the main event and said, just to let everyone know, the last train leaves in 5 minutes. It was like, we hadn't even had the main event yet. But like it had gone really late, and it was just like this one of those like wild, lawless evenings. But Tyson Fury was like absolutely. And
what did you do at that point? Was you like, yes?
Well, I had the motor. I was part. No, I had the car. Me and Pat Sheehan had the car from the Sun. Actually, trying to get away that night again. Sorry if this is a tangent, but the car park was like backed up, and we're like, fuck, we're gonna be here for hours. You know, like. We're 4 floors up of the multi-story and it's just going round. Turns out none of the barriers would open, so 4 blokes just got out of their car and just lifted the barrier up and just let everyone drive through. It's amazing. It was just mad night. Anyway, Fury was perfect that night. Chisora didn't really turn up, and that was the final eliminator for Fury to then fight Klitschko, and then Fury wins it, blows the division open, but Chisora lost that night, so that means he was 2-0 against Fury, and sort of far back on the sort of world title scene then, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's already up against it anyway because of the defeats, but he's just like, he's still undeterred. It's not his best performance. He said he didn't turn up that night. His feet weren't working. But again, he goes on another rebuild.
Now it feels like a rebuild, but at the time it just felt like he's just boxing. He's just he's finished
he got pulled
now.
out, I think, by Don Charles.
He's finished now. You know, it's too many losses. There's no value to him. And, you know, this is obviously pre-Fury beating Klitschko, so people aren't even talking about Fury nowhere near in the breadth they do now. I think he shocked a lot of people. But he goes on, he has a few more wins with Warren. He fights out in Germany. Then I think it's when I think he has his first out with Matchroom, which is sort of like 2015, which is the new, now we're in the new tier of Matchroom.
That's right,
like, they're already up and running. They've had the Kell wins, the Darren Barker wins, the Froch wins. But he goes on some runs, Dick. Do you know what I mean? He goes on. He drops. He loses to Pulev, right? Who's 22-1 at the time, right? But that's a split decision.
Can you remember the presser there as well? I think he threw a bottle at Pulev, and that like a plastic bottle of water through it. So there was chaos at the seat as well. I think IFL were there at the weigh-in that day. You can still find the footage of that. So just more chaos with Chisora. Like, fuck you, Pulev. I'll go to Bulgaria and box him. This is a good Pulev then as well. Like, not the aging one. This is 2016. Like, peak Pulev, and he drops a split. Like, really good performance.
He drops a split against Dillian White. I'm not sure what year that is. The majority decision is Caballel.
2016.
Caballel. I mean, that's aged really well. I can't remember the fight day. Was it any good?
I do. Yeah, I was there. So that was in Monte Carlo. That was one of the first Monte Carlo shows, 2017, in the November of it. And I remember thinking then, because he lost the majority, and Caballel was 16-0 at the time. Obviously, like you say, it's aged really well because Caballel's like one of the top contenders now. But I remember that when he lost that, just thinking maybe that's time for him, because by that point, therefore, he's lost Caballel, Dillian White, Pulev, Fury, like every sort of step up. It was just like, does he really want to do this anymore? And that was 2017, November. And again, just like he always did, within 4 months, he was back out again, chinning someone.
Takam, he chins Takam, isn't it? Was that a big
then
win?
The Takam fight. So then he beats, Azuzi at the O2. And then in the 2018, the July, the Carlos Takam fight. If you've never seen it, go and watch it. Takam hits him with everything, kitchen sink, like beats him up early doors. And Chisora's just, as we know with Chisora, it's like the classic Derek Chisora performance. Soaks it all up, refuses to budge, knocks him out. Not many people knocked out Carlos Takam like that. That is such a good win in his career. And again, at one point, it's just like, fuck me, he's just getting beaten up here by Carlos Takam. Like, what's he doing?
Is this War Chisora under the David Hayes spell at this point?
He might have. That must be war times by that point. Yeah, I mean, that would have been an Eddie Hearn show. But I think he would have linked up with Hay by then, because then he has the Dillian White fight, loses the Dillian White rematch, that is, and he loses the knockout, like 11th round knockout.
I'm almost certain he's with Alexis and the
that's
shoot
the war
fighter,
days.
shoot fighter guys, because his fitness is off the
Yeah.
charts. He's totally. It's like he is reinventing himself, like Madonna-esque. He's come
As War Chisora,
and he comes and he brings the heat.
Yeah.
He brings the heat for Dillian Whyte. And it's all action. He gets caught late, don't he? I think obviously he's a
good
big
knockout
gassed,
from
and
Whyte.
It's a great
as well.
knockout from Whyte.
Yeah.
Up there with some of his best. But is he finished, Deck?
Yeah. Absolutely not. He comes back against Senad Gashi. Not a good fight, that one, but he wins. The knockout against Artur Szpilka is like, you don't think about Chisora when you think about all of his attributes. You don't think one punch knockout man. But that Szpilka knockout is fucking chilling. And then he knocks out David Price as well. So then he's on a bit of a run. And who does he get
runs
next?
Straight into the
last man you want to see when you're on a winning
Well, he
run.
runs into the unified cruiserweight champion, now up at heavyweight, trying to give it a little go, Alexander Usyk. And Deck, right? He pushes Usyk. I mean, I thought the scores were wider than this, but two judges had it 115, 113. And
yeah, it's literally one round away from the draw.
And obviously he's decided he's bigger and he's fitter now, so he's going to put it on Usyk early. And I mean, Usyk weathers that early storm, builds into the fight. I thought there was times where Usyk might have been able to stop him, but was sort of playing it safe up at heavyweight, not wanting to gas and that. But again, he put. Whether the scorecards don't lie as such in terms of that's the history of it now. He pushed Usyk, the best fighter of the generation, for a competitive fight, really. Like a really competitive fight for a guy with that many losses on his record.
And also, got to say, it was the perfect fight for Usyk in terms of as he was trying to like settle into the heavyweight division. It was like, right, okay, this is what it's actually about. They're big, tough men who are going to try and ragdoll me and I'm going to have to stay composed. Like, he really put it on him. That was a really good fight. I thought Usyk was a kind of clearer winner than that. I thought he took over a bit towards it, kind of settled in. But yeah, I mean, Chisora, and now we know how good he is as a heavyweight. It's not, the jury's not out. It's like that's a unanimous decision defeat that, if it can do, has aged pretty well for Chisora.
He has back-to-back defeats to Joseph Parker. I'm pretty sure they're next, one of which is a split decision. So again, former world champion Joseph Parker. I can't remember these fights, Deck. So I'm thinking I've seen them, but I can't remember them at the time. So I don't want to comment on them too much.
This is like 4 or 5 years ago now. Yeah, I mean, they were not unremarkable fights, but I like the Dillian Whyte Chisora fights. They really stick in the mind, but the Parker ones don't necessarily. Parker, I must say, at that time wasn't the Parker like the exciting force he was now. He was a little bit more safety first. Didn't really have the pop. They were two attritional fights, and he loses a split, then he loses a UD. But again, these are just like, this is top level now for Chisora. Like, he's always been operating at top level, maybe not winning, but operating at the top level. But so that means now he's on another 3-fight losing streak, Chisora. Yeah. And this is where people start saying, I think you should hang him up. Even promoters, even Hearn and Warren or whoever hadn't signed him at the time, think you should hang him up. Not sure this is right. A lot of boxing fans saying the same. But he's nowhere near done. That's the December of 2021. It's a long time
he gets
ago
another
now.
win against Pulev, don't he? He split decision against Pulev.
And I remember that Pulev fight almost being like, this was supposed to be the farewell. It's like, give Chisora the win, go and beat Pulev, and then he'll retire after that. But then he wins on a split, cuts his eyes, good fight, and then all of a sudden, and then he gets the Tyson Fury world title shot, which is 10 years on from his first world title shot. There can't be that many people in history who have had 2 world title attempts 10 years apart. They're only 2, 10 years apart. Loses that night. Not fun to watch, to be honest. It was a beating.
It felt
Tottenham.
like it was...
Was it Tottenham?
Yeah. It was like... It was... yeah. Because Chisora, for all his credit, and we're going through all these big wins, it felt like when he fought Fury, it was like, these are friends. This is just a fight that was put together to help out. Give Chisora a chance or something. I don't know. Just give Fury a chance.
Kind of even says that now.
he at times he pulls him round, carries him a bit before stopping him. But is he finished, Derek?
Is he done? Is he fucked? Because then in the following August he boxes Gerald Washington over 10 rounds. Mercifully now he's only doing 10 rounders. And that's at the O2. And Gerald Washington, I think he's with Malik Scott for that fight as well. Yeah, he was. He fights him. Was that even the AJ Hellenius card? I think it was at the O2. And beats him.
I think now. So now we have to be in the realm of right. Derek Chisora. We see the beating that he took against Fury. Lots of people are saying like, call it a day, mate. Call it a day. Now. Hang it up. So now it's about clever matchmaking for him, because he can't fight absolute no ones. He can't fight world beaters. He can't fight monsters, but he needs to fight names, right? So Gerald Washington makes a sense. We've heard of him. He's been over here before. He's been beat.
Well, he was going to fight Joshua, remember? Because that was the one where Dylan White pulled out. No, didn't pull out. He failed a drugs test, so then needed a late opponent. And Gerald Washington was in the running. He boxes Hellenius and knocks him out. But that's where Gerald Washington was. So, it's a good name. And he beats him.
And then we're at his last fight, which is Joe Joyce. Now, it wasn't that long ago you'd say, keep Derek Chisora well away from Joe Joyce. Like, that's not... That's not a fun fight.
The juggernaut.
And then even when that fight was made, you're like, ooh, like, he's had them 2 fights, Joe Joyce with Zhile Zhang, One Bang, all the, Well,
chat shit gets zhanged.
Zhang. But what do you think? What was going through your head when that fight was made, Derek?
I remember it was one of them where you don't know about Joe Joyce's chin at that point, because you're like, okay, Zhang's cleared him out twice, so is he the juggernaut of old who just keep coming? I don't know, actually, because we would have spoken about that, wouldn't we? Because that was 2004, 24, we should probably listen back. I can't quite remember what I was thinking, but what I do know is that what we watched that night at the O2 was one of the most brutal things I've seen. And like, obviously... the same year as Fraser Clark and Fabio Wardley had their first fight. That was on the Easter Sunday. This was in the summer. And it was just like breathless. Watching it was like, this is mental that these two men are doing this for other people's entertainment. Joe Joyce dropped in the 9th. And I think, and if you look at the cards, without that knockdown, Derek Chisora would have lost, I think, a split. But he didn't, and it just goes to show like the margins. But again, if he loses a split to Joe Joyce, it's like, then where does he go? But I remember it was must have been after the Fury fight. He starts talking about wanting to get to 50, because this is the whole thing. It's like, what are we doing this for? Like, why is Chisora still boxing? Like, but he pulls mad crowds, fans love him, and then he's like, right, okay, fine, I'm nearly there. I'm going to get to 50, and he beats Joe Joyce to keep it going in his 48th fight. And let's not forget, George, you alluded to it. Joe Joyce was like, not that long ago, was being hailed as the next, like, the man to trouble everyone in the sort of, to Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. He's the juggernaut. No one can deal with this guy. Zhang obviously put a massive hole in that. But still, not many people would have, at that time, been like, Derek Chisora's going to beat him. And it was just epitomised everything that Chisora's about. Like, the will to win, the absolute refusal to buckle, the ability to just be like, I will take anything if it's 1 ounce more than you're able to take. It's just what he's done his whole career, even in the defeats and whatnot. Which brings us up to now, George, where he's 48 fights in, 35 and 13, and he's headlining at the Co-op, not my Co-op at the end of the road, but at the Co-op Live, the big arena in Manchester, in what he says is the final fight in the UK. And not only that, George, he's boxing Otto Wallin.
Yeah.
So he could have boxed a pudding here.
Well, I've got two questions left before we move on from Derek Chisora. Yeah. One is, he's got Otto Wallin this weekend, Derek.
Very valiant.
Does he beat him? Does he not?
It's a really hard fight, because obviously the most recent memory of Valen is him getting pieced up by Anthony Joshua after everyone had said that he was going to give Joshua problems. But he's a big southpaw. He is tough, and he's tricky, and he can box, and he has power. And also, Derek Chisora is 41, and he's coming off the back of that Joe Joyce fight. We are totally incapable of predicting what that Joe Joyce fight, which was brutal, has taken out of either men, actually. Joe Joyce hasn't boxed since then, has he? I don't think. No, he hasn't. So we don't really know what that's done to Derek Chisora, a 41-year-old Chisora. I went and interviewed him in a sauna the other day, and he is as fresh and as lucid and
what did he smell like?
Fit and as strong. He smelled beautiful. He bought us all caviar as I've ever seen him. This is not a man that I look at and be like...
Can you remember?
A fish. But this is not... He was as fresh as a daisy. One of the best interviews I've ever done with him. And I've been interviewing him for years, since before the first Klitschko fight that didn't happen. So I've been interviewed, because obviously he's a London-based fighter. That was my bread and butter. Back when he was in Mill Hill Broadway, in this gym that was down a hill with Don Charles when he was in his 20s. But he seems as fresh and as bright and as intelligent and as smart as he ever has. It doesn't seem like a man in decline. So in answer to your question, I think he can win. What I can guarantee is it's going to be a tear up for as long as it lasts. I think it's a distance job. And if it is, I think it'll be close. It'd be interesting to see how Otto Valen deals with that pressure. I think it was Spencer Fearon used to say he's like Benelin, like chesty cough. He's on your chest. He never leaves you like a chesty cough. And it's exactly right. He'll just be on Otto Valen. Benelin. As a southpaw boxer, it's like he wants a bit of space most of the time, doesn't he? And he ain't going to get it. And Chisora says he's going to cry. He says he's going to shed a tear on the ring walk before the fight. He's obviously an emotional character. He's got 2 daughters at home. He's a sentimental being. He's not devoid of that sort of emotion. And it's like whether that will make him unravel, whether that drives him on. Otto Valen seems very chilled and very unfazed by it, but also unbothered by it, whereas Derek Chisora's going to be massively bothered by the occasion. He doesn't want to fuck it up by losing. So I think it's an intriguing fight. And again, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have picked Derek Chisora to beat Otto Valen at 39, let alone 41, but I think he could do it. I really fucking hope he does it as well. I shouldn't say it as a journalist, but I do.
So we think Derek Chisora wins this weekend against Otto Valen.
Derek Chisora, UD.
Yeah. You definitely believe that.
UD, yeah.
You didn't doubt.
UD's nuts.
Yeah, D nuts. Right. What's your favourite Derek Chisora moment in history?
My favourite moment was the sauna the other day.
I don't want to know then, mate. That's far. So a couple of the boys went in the sauna. I couldn't. I had to go, but they went in with him, and he does it naked. I didn't get to that point, but it was more. He came in the room. You know what he's like. He comes in the room. He walks in the room. First of all, he's on time, which is unbelievable. He turns up in this room at the sauna, this Russian sauna, which is like just over the road from Buckingham Palace. Comes in his indomitable way. He just has a pop at everyone. Like everyone in the room gets it, but not in like a harsh way. In an almost endearing, like we're all in this together. You could say banter. Has a pop at everyone. One guy, it was his first day, I think. He's a cameraman. And Chisora starts telling him how he likes his hair. He's got like long hair, and he's like, who the fuck's this guy? Light hair, and this guy must be like, what the fuck have I walked into? But obviously, we all know the crack. You know
gets
what?
A bit of it. He says to, and then he sits down and he's like, "Who's hungry?" We're like, "Yeah, I mean, we could eat." He's like, "Who wants vodka?" And I'm like, "It's dry January actually, so not for me." He's like, "Right, everyone." Caviar. I'd never tried caviar. I was like, I've actually never tried it. He's like, right, we're getting caviar. Gets caviar sent in. This is Russian sort of. Gets dumplings sent in. Borscht. He gets bowls of soup. And he's doing the interviews. And all the time he's looking around just checking everyone's got their food, checking everyone's all right. And I'm like, fucking hell. You know, like this is a totally different character. I've seen him have real goes at journalists before asking the wrong question. You know, he's a volatile character. And when you get him on the right day, there's no one like him. he's been one of the most enjoyable people to cover. I mean, I haven't covered anyone for as long as him because it's just gone on for so long. But there's been so many moments. The Hay presser, the Hay fight was unbelievable. He kissed Carl Baker at a weigh-in. He bit Paul Butlin, I think it was. The Klitschko slaps and all that. He's just like one of these characters, like I say, they don't come around very often. And I think he'll be appreciated far more once he's retired. So yeah, I reckon the sauna was just like one of those moments where you're like, fuck man, like this is not normal, especially these days. Like a lot of the boxers are not, obviously they're much younger than me now, to be honest. You don't have
Stop
these
trying to
connections
take the
with
young
them now,
boxers in the sauna, Derek.
Yeah. But I was just like, this is not normal. This is not what happens. So yeah, Derek Chisora, it's been a pleasure to cover him. He says this is the penultimate one. And then he's got one more, which I hope and pray, because this will be the ultimate covering of Derek Chisora. There's talk it could be like Francis Ngannou in Africa, which would be, can you imagine a Derek Chisora fight week in Africa? It would just be the perfect way to go out. But Frank Warren says if he beats Otto Wallin, he's in line for a proper fight, like in Saudi or something. Like it's not, they won't just find someone for him. It's going to be like Ngannou or, I mean, dread to think Bacoli, but it's going to be a proper fight if he wins. If he loses, he'll probably have it anyway. What's your favourite Derek Chisora moment?
I'm trying to think if is there anything that we haven't covered. Carl Baker kiss was like.
Oh, what about when he punched the Uberman?
That was Tyson Fury last week, wasn't it?
No, Derek Chisora punched the Uberman.
That was the other day, wasn't it? Yeah.
And wasn't it you interviewing him and he could phone the restaurant and say, "Give me the Derek Chisora"?
Yeah. Derek Chisora. Yeah. I mean, he's the Five Guys king now as well. Seeing him dressed as Five Guys. I think I've seen him dressed in pink for a Beyonce concert or Taylor Swift or something. He
had a pink robe for one of his fights. He can do anything. Like I remember back in the day, I remember Richard Maynard, Frank Warren's press guy, he would have been working with you when you were there for a bit. I remember him phoning me one day. He was like, "Can you get to Frederick's restaurant, the one in Angel? Derek Chisora's coming. We're doing a press bit. He's going to go and cook a rabbit. He's going to put him in I can't remember what fight it was against. It was ages ago, like when he was with Frank Warren the first time. So Chisora's just in Frederick's in his chef whites, this hulking figure cooking a rabbit on a thing, and you're like, Rich, like what's the thinking here? And then it brought back memory. That moment was I was reminded of that moment the other day when I was at this magazine launch for the Modern Boxing Journal, for the second edition. Chisora's there. And he's in the kitchen again. Just walked in the kitchen. He's just cooking steaks for everyone, and then he's walking around with a bottle of tequila, 2 shots. Gave me and my missus a shot of tequila. Will you have one, Dale? He's like, "No, I don't drink." You're like, "Fuck's sake!" And then he leaves, gets in his smart car, and drives home.
I think I've got a picture somewhere of me holding my Commonwealth title belt, Derek Chisora holding a British bulldog, standing next to the Queen lookalike. For like a best of Britain.
That is so of its time. That's such a classic Frank Warren, like sort of naughties press thing. What would that be? Yeah, that is so good. Remember that one with all of you boys? Were you in that picture? And Paul Smith's there, Nathan Cleverley's there. Like when all the boys, all the Frank Warren boys were in the same shot. But the one pulling out the Queen is great. And he had the Del Boy car as well, didn't he? Remember that?
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
He's a legend, but he's a legend. But I want to give a shout out for a legend of the GGBC who's also on the card, Devin. Fucking I've done it again.
Devin Heaney.
No, Nathan Heaney. He's on the card as well, isn't he?
Still one of our best guests ever.
And he's delivered 1,500 tickets personally for this one, so it's going to be a lot. Them self-checkout queues are going to be fucking massive at the Co-op this weekend.
Yeah, it's annoying as well when they're like, when you have to get a member of staff and you're like, I'm just going to buy it. Or what did I get beat for the other day? Like ibuprofen or something. I was like, fuck's sake, man. Anyway, Nathan Heaney's boxing Sofian Kati, or Carty, and that's his first fight back since the stoppage against Brad Paul's ECM back in July. So it's a big comeback fight, over 10. The former British middleweight champion Nathan Heaney. So that'd be good fun. So yeah, annoyingly, I mean, annoyingly, it's a bit flippant, but it's painful for them. Willie Hutchison was supposed to box Zach Parker.
Yep.
That's off. Masood Abdullah, Zach Miller, that's a great fight. It's a really good card. And yeah, Derek Chisora, man, like, he's a legend. He is unlike anyone else in the sport. You got to think as well, this is a guy, he's 41 now. He was born in Zimbabwe, moved to UK in like 99, I think, when he was 16. And then he won the ABAs in 2006, so sort of milled around for a bit, got into boxing, won the ABAs, and then literally the rest is history. And we've just gone through nearly 20 years of boxing history there. And he's just been there and ever present. And it's going to be strange when he goes. But he is. Who would you like to see? Say he does the business against Otto Wallin. Like, what do you think would be a good bow out fight for Derek Chisora? And also assuming it's not in the UK, because that's what he tells us. He's still going. I mean, beat him as well.
Maybe. I don't know. What's he up to? But
hard one, isn't it? Because you're like, where would you do the Butterbean fight?
Cape Verde.
Yeah, it'd be a good trip. Be a good press trip.
No, I like the Ngannou. The Ngannou fight could be fun in Africa. That'd be
Wouldn't
good.
it?
Not Bacoli in Africa, because Bacoli's just a handful. And for monster at the moment.
Or it could be a Saudi fight, and it could be... It's hard, isn't it? Because you don't want to fight someone in your 50th fight who's really good. Like, you don't.
We'll cross that bridge. He's got to beat Wallin first, and then we'll start talking about the last one.
Well, he hasn't.
We'll talk about the last one. Dec, let's have a break there, come back, and I'm going to tell you about everything that happened last weekend. You're going to love it. And we're back in the room, Dec. How are you?
Great, George. Can I just tell you about something which I feel like will probably resonate with a lot of listeners? I've started something new this week.
Okay, right. Are you going to leave me some room to guess, or you should come straight and tell me?
I'll give you a clue. I think it's the fastest growing sport in the world ever or something.
Okay.
It's very popular in Spain.
Paddleboard.
It's paddle, not paddleboard.
Paddle? It's popular in Spain. It's not popular in Spain. It's popular in...
Apparently they're the dons at it.
It's popular with like little trendy folk like you and fat and lazy folk. So I don't know. You like fit me. Both, don't you?
I go... I'm perfectly in the Venn diagram of trendy and fat and lazy, but paddle. So paddle is different to pickleball. Apparently, so people are like, oh, you're playing pickleball. No, pickleball, there's holes in the ball. There's no walls. Paddle's the one with the walls or the glass walls, and it's a hard ball. Mate, it's fucking brilliant. It's the most... I can feel like a high-level addiction already bubbling in there. I've had one session, right?
What session? What, you getting lessons?
We do it. No, I'm doing just... You turn up, it's mad, right? So there's 4 players... Obviously, it's doubles paddle. Or you can play singles, but no one does. So it's doubles.
More work, isn't it?
So obviously, there's 4 people required for a game. So on the app at my paddle club, I won't name it because people probably come and fucking find me. But anyway, you just book a spot, and then 3 other people just book a spot. But you're given a rating. So like you're booked. So I'm level 2. It goes from 0 to 7. I came in straight at 2, so I'm buzzing about that.
How did you get in at 2?
Well, because I'm a legend.
What would
play tennis.
Get you level 1? Like what?
Like being shocking.
You've got to put your BMI in there and like you fucking.
No. A coach assesses you, and then if you want to go up a level, 2 coaches have to assess you. This is just an amateur sport, anyway. So you go in, and then 3 people book, and then you're just playing against random people, which is nice. Anyway, I go in and I'm like, right, okay, I can't wait to play again. And I'm watching, and these 4 are on there, like 2 of them Spanish, they're unbelievable. And there's a woman on there, and like, it is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. They're so good, and I'm like, fuck me, man, what have I walked into? Anyway, one of the coaches was like, don't worry, she's GB number 1. You won't be playing her anytime. I know, down the paddle club where I am. Anyway, paddle's the new thing, man. So just wait for the GGPC.
Yeah,
it's coming. Okay. You're ready for paddle, I think, because you're in that age now. You got, and also you got to go with someone though at doubles, but like it's just
slip in on someone else's.
It's mental strength, yeah. But what I mean is like you're used to just doing the business on your own, like beating someone up. But you got to go. Maybe we could become a formidable force.
Maybe, but you're already on level 2. If I'm not, some level 1.
I guarantee some of our listeners
are going to be fuming.
Imagine you coming and got 1, you'd be raging. they're put him down as a 1. You can't fucking hit it. But some of our listeners, I'm sure, will be paddles. Who's the highest paddle? Get in touch. If anyone's up there in like 5, 6, 7, like proper paddle players, get in touch. 'Cause I want some tips.
I can see you've listened hard and you've been fairly assessed by your paddle coach, Dec. But
just you.
We don't work in a 1 to 7 sort of level in our boxing coaching world, which I am now part of. Dec, did you know? I'm a fully licensed coach.
Let's stop going on about it.
Control, and I have a fighter who I train and manage, Lucas Roehrig, who made a successful appearance on the boxer card last weekend from the Wembley OVO. I've always called it OVO Arena, right? Lucas.
What is OVO?
It's an energy company. They sell energy. Like if you need it for paddleboard.
That's Red Bull, isn't it? Yeah, maybe I'll get in touch with OVO.
Lucas called it OVO, and I thought, I won't say. And then Big Mo did it. I think Big Mo did it, but he's American. He called it the OVO Arena, and I was like, why is it not the OVO? It is the OVO, but I've only called it OVO.
I've never called it either because I just call it Wembley Arena because I'm not like a corporate bunny like you. But are you on your way to the CO op this weekend? Yeah, true.
Right? Anyway.
Yeah, true. Fine. Anyway, so you call it the OVO. He calls it the OVO.
OVO Arena. Lucas Roehrig is out and he's opening the show for Sky Sports boxing.
First TV
slot off the bat, which is... People don't understand, right, that when you're adhering to the TV schedule, right, if you're actually the first one on, that's the best one to have, man, because they say, right, you'll ring walk in at 7:07.
Time's right. Yeah,
and you're like, okay, yeah. Because if Lucas...
Yeah, that's not dependent on anything else.
Sometimes even the main event, you've got to wait, or, they'll be on a 10 or 15-minute swing, whereas him, by hook or by crook, they're going at 7:07. So we was in this bougie dressing room, Dec, right? Apparently there's a TV show, right, where young budding interior designers come on and do a little thing to try and get it through the knockout stages, right? Neil Sibley.
Changing rooms.
No, I thought it was that. It's not that. It sounds a little bit like that, but they're actually winning something rather than just turning people's actual houses into shit.
What was the other one? What was the other one as well as changing rooms? What was the one where it was like
DIY SOS?
DIY SOS.
They built the WFABC. We love DIY SOS.
Of
Nick
course.
Knowles.
Yeah.
Big
Nick
boxing
Knowles.
fan, Nick.
Yeah.
Builds all the best gyms in the world.
Let's get him on the pod.
So was in this, The only thing was Lucas being 6'2", like he was doing his leg swings and his foot was hitting the ceiling. When he was bouncing around on pads, like it was millimeters from the fucking light bulbs hanging off the thing. But the warm up went great. The whole week went great. Sky grabbed hold of us, took care of us, followed us round, and it's a eye opening experience for Lucas because. Mate, do you know what? It's not just the training and the punching. You got to do the talking.
All that shit.
All week. Yeah. Interviews.
He's good at it though, isn't he?
He's getting better. He has to get better. And
I must say, he'd be doing less if it wasn't for you. So you need to shoulder some of that blame as well.
I thought throw him in the
deep end. If he was just some other bloke, but if he was just another dude without you as his trainer and manager and mentor, then he wouldn't be as hot commodity with the press as he is.
That from you, Dec. That's it.
He's doing a lot. Yeah. He's doing really well.
He's doing really well.
It's not easy.
Ranked, I mean, I know BoxRec rankings, people go, but BoxRec rankings, they work on a different sort of algorithm. He's number 12 now, Dec, in Britain after 2 fights. And he's like 101 in the world. Because he's fought 2 good opponents. So I can't remember the dude's name now. I forgot his name. Savic.
Miloslav Savic.
Yep. That was him.
A.K.A. Robbie.
He's... a few losses on his record, but a few wins as well against some sort of unbeaten prospects. He was a bit of a danger man.
Do you say he boxed in the world as an amateur for Slovakia or something? Or Serbia,
I probably made that up, but
fuck it, who cares?
If you Google him,
get in the way of a good story.
He looks the part in an amateur vest. I was like, that's got to be for his country. I put it. So he's in the Olympics.
Olympic bronze medalist. He did really well though, didn't he, Lucas? Like in terms of like that week, in terms of the build-up and getting hold of it. Can I ask you as well? because this is a journalist. Have you signed with Boxer? You done a deal with them?
Boxer kindly put us on that show, which was phenomenal. But we've got fight news announced this week already. We've got a fight. Another fight. Got a fart. Pending. Got a fart brewing in March, right? And that will come out this week. So that was agreed today with the promoter.
March.
But he's got one out in April as well. So he's on the US versus UK card.
Brad with the Roy Jones and Spencer Oliver
there,
and Bradley Axe. Bradley Axe, the Axe man, cometh.
Avid listener, loyal supporter of the GGBC.
Legend of the pod.
He is.
Was he on the stage at the live show? Did he do the? He did the thingy.
Did the old Rubik's Cube?
He did. Bradley Axe, what a legend from Yeovil, West Country boy.
So old Branders is on there, and a bunch of other things. A bunch of other guys are on there.
And that's April 5th, yeah.
Guess where it is, Deck? This is gonna blow your mind.
Let me guess. It got any association with you?
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's not going to be Wembley Stadium. Done that. I'll
tell you what. Somewhere
It's not Stamford Bridge, is it?
Stamford Bridge.
Stamford
the home
Bridge.
of the beloved Chelsea FC.
You just can't get enough of Chelsea, can you?
The fella called me and said, the fight's at Stamford Bridge. I said, I've retired, mate. I said, you know what I mean? That ship sailed.
Do you remember when who was it you were going to box? And Calla was talking about Stamford Bridge.
Eubank, maybe Eubank or Cox.
Maybe, yeah. And then he was like, actually, we've had talks with Craven Cottage, and the fight was in like February or so. I was like, fuck me, imagine outside at Craven Cottage in February. No thanks. Anyway, Stamford Bridge in April.
It's not on the
blue is the colour,
pitch, but it's in the.
I mean, it's the middle of the season. How
exactly.
could it be?
So
wouldn't want to be.
But yeah, Luke is
anyway.
fine. He's doing really well. He had a great win. So if you haven't seen that, tune in and find out where you can see it. Highlights are definitely on YouTube already, but try and find the full fight. He's doing really well. He's
that's very exciting, man. Like, how is it feeling now? You're 2 in, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of him. And obviously, you only did this because you rate him and you saw the promise in him. But now he's 2 in. You're like, fuck no, he is really good. Like, because you don't know whether they're going to sink or swim, do you?
You really don't. So no, he's I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the process. Back in the mix with the boxing, the boxing business, all the stuff that goes on, and out of the public eye. It's all good fun, and so far so good. Do you know what I mean? So far so good. Who knows? There might be some haters coming out soon. Do you reckon, Deck? Because do you remember when I started this podcast with you, and then people are going, "Stay in your fucking lane, mate. You're a boxer, mate. You can't be in here taking our jobs." And then we made
I do remember that
a marginally successful podcast.
So you reckon the haters are coming, do you? Well, do you know what will like sort of stoke things up is the quality of the scene at cruiserweight. So like Pat Brown, for instance, he makes his debut. When's that? Next month. Yeah. Obviously the big cruiserweight Olympic hope with Matchroom. There's cruiserweights everywhere. You got Alloys. You got the Michelin Man.
Yeah, you got Michelin Man.
It's an unbelievable division. And with that will come competition, and therefore there will be some.
Yeah, but there'll be some exciting fights as well, Dick. Some very exciting fights. I'll tell you what, who's main event that evening and boxed really well and has been one of the most exciting fighters we've had late is Adam Azim. I thought he boxed really well. He put in a great win. And they put me on the spot after because they stuck me next to Shane McGuigan. And they're like, who's better, Dalton Smith or Adam Azim? And I'm mates with Adam, but I don't have any beef with Dalton. I said, recency bias, I'm going Adam Azim. But Deck, I think that's a fight that a year ago everyone was talking about until Dalton Smith done a job on Zepeda, and it was like, oh wait, actually Adam Azim, you're only 21. Let's pump the brakes a bit. But maybe now, a year on, he had a good win the other week, didn't he? 1-round blowout against European
against Walid Wizard.
Yeah, the Wizard.
Harry Potter.
Okay, no. Yeah, Expelliarmus. He went.
Yeah, he proper Avada Kedavra.
But yeah, I want to see that fight. I mean, Adams.
Me too.
I think they're giving it big, and like I've seen a clip of Shane McGuigan saying that he stops Dalton Smith. I thought, that's said for a reason. He wants the bite, but how big is it?
Do you know what I love that fight because we haven't seen either of them in any trouble. When you we have no idea. You're picking based on total vibes either way because you've never seen Adam Azim get walloped or go down or be under pressure, and we've never seen that happen with Dalton Smith really to any extent with either of them. So you're go and put him in and see what happens. My feeling is it won't happen for a bit. It feels like Dalton Smith is he is further along. He's basically mandatory challenger for the WBC. So the only way that fight happens for me, if you really think about it, is if both of them become world champions now. I think we've missed that little bit of domestic level fight, and now it just won't happen for a while. Unless Turkey puts his money into it. But it's like
Dalton Smith can't walk away from a world title shot. So for just a fight,
and also it's against Puello or Sandor Martin.
Which one? Is it Puello or Sandor Martin?
They're fighting each other. He's got to fight the winner, I think, and they haven't fought yet. What fight? Let me just check that because they're fighting on an undercard, unless I missed it, which I'm pretty sure I haven't. He'll be called as mandatory for that, which is a hugely winnable fight. Alberto Puello against Sandor Martin. Yeah, that's the 1st of March. So why on earth would they go, let's fight Adam Azim now, this really explosive puncher, and just see if we can handle it? No. So it's a shame because that looked like it could have happened. Obviously, the sort of EBU ordered it last year and it didn't happen. But it all gets in the way of what we saw, and that was a very good, mature performance from Adam Azim. I still feel like, I don't know, I want to see a bit more from him, in terms of he bossed that fight, and you cannot underestimate how hard that is to do against someone like Lipinets, who just brings it to it, and he kept him on the end of the jab, and then when he had the opportunity, he threw a lot of hard singles and doubles. I just want to see a 3 or 4 punch burst, and then a little step off, and then another phase. I want to see that. It's all just a bit bap, move off, reset, bap, move off, reset. So I feel like in a Dalton Smith fight, would that be enough? Would that be enough to keep Dalton Smith at bay? Maybe it would be. We don't know. I mean, what I can say is that the way he dropped him in, I think whatever that was, the first time he put him on the floor, Lipinets, he's sort of pursuing Azim round the ring, and Azim's properly on the retreat, gets hit with a left hook, but lands one himself, almost like a check hook. It is beautiful. It's proper. And it's just those little glimpses where you're like, fuck, he's really special.
He's fast. He's really fast.
He's proper fast, and he really punches hard.
It's still quite a way to go in terms of becoming a bit more of a complete
He's young.
fighter. Yeah,
he's only read one Harry Potter book so far.
Has he finished that first one?
6 of them, whatever it is. No, I don't think he has. Now's the time he's out of camp.
He should just be fucking flying through them Harry Potter books. I think he will. Yeah, brother Hassan, club member. He
beat the Swindon legend.
He beat your man, yeah.
But Hassan's going again, and Adam Azim, credit to him in the press conference afterwards, was like, "Look, Hassan's over there. He's coming as well." Oh shit! I nearly forgot to mention this. Elvis Agorga, the guy who boxed Callum Simpson. My God.
What an
dude.
effort as well.
Can I appeal to every promoter in the UK? Get Elvis over for all of your super middleweights now. Can we see him over maybe every week, ideally? Came out in his camo with his red beret on. He gave it a go. No one will want to fight that because it's just Callum Simpson had to really stay composed, and because it's just he's clearly not as good as Callum Simpson, but he just gave it a go. The funniest moment, George, did you see it? At the end of the fifth or something. I can't remember what it was. He's got Simpson like against the ropes, like one of those where he's got his gloves around the ropes and he's holding him just to not get hit. And then he notices Sean Porter sat ringside and just goes, Sean Porter! And then just goes back. And Sean Porter's like, and he's just looking around at ringside to see who's there. Fucking brilliant. Get Elvis back. But yeah, another win for Callum Simpson. He goes on to Oakwell now, apparently, for his summer showdown. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it was a good night.
Great night. And I haven't watched it, so we're not going to review it. But Benavidez wins over.
Benavidez won.
He gets wobbled, doesn't he?
Went down. Yeah, he went down. But yeah, good win. Moves on. It was kind of unspectacular in the sense, like, it was a good fight. I think he's now going to box the winner of Bivol Beterbiev, you would think.
That'd be a good fight.
So yeah, very, very good
Might
win.
see him up at cruiserweight one day.
It may be a box Derek Chisora for his 50th fight.
Fucking curveball. There we go. Let's make it happen.
Imagine Benavidez against Lucas Roehrig.
It's a good fight.
At Craven Cottage in February.
Or he could be at your local co-op.
Okay. Or on the paddle court.
Yeah.
I want to see Lucas play David Benavidez at paddle.
He's not bad at squash. No, not squash. Badminton.
Lucas.
I love badminton. Yeah.
Who does? The Benavidez brothers?
No, Lucas Roehrig.
Or Lucas. Oh, well, he'd be fucking good at paddle. It's all it's all footwork and reactions and stuff. He'd be great. I wonder who the best... I bet CBS plays paddle.
Yeah. I bet he's got his own through dark paddleboard, isn't he? Like, at home.
Yeah. I tell you who'd be crap at it is Derek Chisora. I bet he's rubbish at paddle.
Why?
He's too
angry.
He's too angry. He'd be like, fuck this. You've got to rely on someone else for a start.
Yeah.
He'd get so angry and start smashing the place up, and the balls are made of glass, so that wouldn't be ideal. Anyway, Derek Chisora's back in business, number 49. It's the big one down the co-op. And also, this is the first of 2 back-to-back weeks at the co-op. Sounds like me going and buying my dinner down there. But yeah, this and then the week after that is Jack Catterall against Barboza. Can't remember the last time there was back-to-back big fight nights, arena fight nights in Manchester. My good friend Chris McKenna suggested it was Liam Smith maybe 1 week and then Crawler the next. So that sort of era. But it's good to see Manchester back, like being the big host city for these nights. At a new arena, no less.
It almost seems like a co-op. I don't know. Fucking hell. Right, I'm going. I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
I'm going. I can't. Okay, George. Can't wait to see Del Boy. We'll have a chat after he's chin valling in one.
Try and get me a guest for next week's episode. Yeah, make it a good one.
Yes, let's get a guest. Yeah, let's get a guest. Maybe it might be a boxer. It might be someone from the world of paddle. I cannot guarantee.
Why could it not be both?
One or t'other. Oh. Paddle boxers, get in touch. We want to hear from you.
Ciao, Dick.
Right, bye, George.